As I say in my previous video, we will now analyze several models in physics that show, which confirm that physics is totally lost in the mind. A few years ago, I read an article about negative mass. That mass could be negative and that with this negative mass, many astronomical and also cosmological unsolved problems could be solved, could be explained. We know in physics what is mass. Mass. The mass of this object. The mass in physics is telling us how much energy is integrated in a given physical object. This is according to the mass-energy equivalence principle. And now introducing the idea that mass can be negative, can have a negative sign. So then we have positive mass and negative mass. I don't see any sense in this. And out of that also now follows the idea, which in theoretical physics is present today, about negative energy. That energy can be negative. Energy is energy. Energy is not positive and it's not negative. Energy just is energy. And the same is for the mass. Mass cannot be positive and mass cannot be negative. And these articles are published in important journals of physics. And they make no sense at all. They make no sense. So, once you integrate consciousness into your research, then you have a supervisor of the higher ontological level. And the supervisor immediately will say to the mind, you are creating nonsense. And you will stop. So the lot of mental garbage is produced in physics in the last 100 years because there is no supervisor. And consciousness is the only supervisor for the mind. Now we go to the next idea, which also is just a mind idea, about matter and antimatter. Paul Dirac. He deduced this idea from mathematics. He said minus 2 on square is 4 and plus 2 on square is 4. So out of this idea that negative numbers exist, he derived idea that must be matter and antimatter. You know? There is no antimatter at all in the universe. Matter is matter. There is no antimatter in the universe. What they create now in the experiments, they create a kind of situation which this so-called antimatter exists, I don't know, a few minutes, and then it disappears. Antimatter is a science fiction. And now the next science fiction is the initial singularity. I've spoken about this, but then, this is now related to the elementary particles, that there was a kind of supersymmetry at the first moments of the Big Bang. So that in this supersymmetry moment, there was the same amount of matter and antimatter. I mean, this has nothing to do with science. And then antimatter somehow, by miracle, disappears somewhere. We don't know where it is now in the universe. And there have been hundreds of articles written on supersymmetry, which is a pure illusion. Nothing like this ever existed. If these people, which they create these ideas, if they had a consciousness awakened inside of them, they would never create such a mental crap. The next idea, inflation. That universe has inflated out of nothing. Stephen Hawking, that the energy of matter is positive and the energy of gravity is negative, and that the sum of this positive energy and negative energy in the universe is always zero, and that in the inflation these two energies have been multiplied out of nothing. I mean, this has nothing to do with science. This is religion. This is religion. And with the absence of consciousness, of alive consciousness, in scientists, in physicists, physics today is religion. The Big Bang is religion. Cyclotron physics is religion. And if you want to write an article about these religious ideas and dismantle them to show that they don't make sense, you will never, ever publish such stuff in important journal. Never, ever. I published once an article in Nature Scientific Reports about mass energy equivalence extension on the superfluid quantum space. And in 1 year, article was retracted. The editor of the journal called me and he said, there are some complainings about your article. I say, yes, there is a small mistake. The minimal energy density is not on the surface of stellar objects, but is in the center. I can make these corrections and write an erratum. He said, no, this is not the main problem. The main problems are different. So I say, so please, if you want to do a new review, do it and send me the reviewer's opinion why my article is not okay. So I receive the the review from 3 reviewers. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. These all 3 reviewers, they have been written by some, I don't know, maybe physicists that are in pension. And they would be much better if they would take care of their grandchildren. They did not say anything crucial why my article is not okay. So my article was retracted. Why my article was retracted? Because if you read my article between the lines, I explain that the Higgs mechanism is a mental garbage. That the Higgs mechanism is just an illusion. That there is no Higgs field, that there is no Higgs boson and all this. But it was written between the lines. I didn't express it clearly, but it was written between the lines. And as the Higgs field and Higgs mechanism is a part of today's physics religion, they call these old archbishops, these have been some old professors of physics, and they asked them to review my article. That's why we need consciousness into physics. Otherwise, physics will become religion. And we know that every religion is very dangerous. Religion is the most danger. These are the most dangerous things that human civilization created. We have to search God experientially. Believing of certain types of God was always used to create wars, and still today is so. We have the only solution for this planet is to wake up the consciousness, to bring consciousness into educational system worldwide, experiential consciousness research. Thank you for your attention.